Nollywood, there's no word for it.
Is what?
Ha, ha, ha.
Scandal, scandal, scandal.
Nollywood is another name for Nigeria film industry.
The second largest film industry in the world.
Whoa! Is innovative. Yes.
Is the future.
It's hope.
Nollywood is come to stay.
2 billion viewers worldwide, an $800 million per annum industry. You know, we haven't even started telling our stories yet.
Quantity, no quality.
If you deride us for shooting a film in a week, look at the flip side. We have learned how to shoot a film in a week.
Nollywood is the next phase of filmmaking worldwide, globally.
Nollywood started, we must remember, as an accident. What's the secret behind the magic of Nollywood?
African magic.
You're not as powerful as you used to be. Not in this house.
If I knew the secret, I would bottle it and sell it and not bother making a film at all.
I would say the secret behind Nollywood is originality. We just do our thing, the way it happens here, the way it ought to be.
Nollywood, first and foremost, has an amazing audience. Nollywood tends to do a lot of stories that people can relate to.
Nollywood actually, paints the perfect picture of what actually is going on today between brothers and brothers, friends and brothers, sisters, wives, husbands, all of that thing, fathers, mothers. It's like a real-life drama.
Do you want me to be frank?
You've been frank so far. I don't see why you should stop now.
No husband, no family, no...
I'm not on my own.
The secret behind the magic of what you call Nollywood, what I'll say, okay, Nigerian films, is, first of all, Nigeria's population.
I think part of it is our population, and part of it is that African thing about us that we love to tell stories.
Good morning, Lagos. It is 7:30 a.m. and you are listening to RZD on 93.3 Rush FM. It's the morning show on this regular Lagos Rush.
150, maybe 160 million people together in a geographical space, with more than 400 languages and culture, put together, and having benefited from 50 years of successful television broadcast, the first in Africa, and again, prompted by a collapse of the economy and the loss of infrastructure, and then with an alternative technology, something has to come out of that.
We are the second largest in terms of quantity, and I think third in terms of quality, which is very interesting, actually.
The reason why Nollywood is the second largest film industry in the world, in my opinion, is the budget. Because you can shoot a film on less than $10,000, you can distribute it to over 1 million people, and you make your money back.
Well, the secret is just some very resilient people who want to tell their stories.
They say America is a gateway to heaven. How many ever get to see the other side?
Gee. It's an industry that has built itself by itself. It's an industry made by the people, for the African people.
Unlike other countries where they waited until there was an NGO to donate money or there was a cultural exchange program from another country to give them money, Nollywood made something out of nothing. We created entertainment out of nothing.
Guess it's home.
So it is an entrepreneurial film industry that has developed from nothing, mainly from practice rather than training. And today it's risen to become the second largest film industry in the world in terms of volume. And we're trying to up our game in terms of the quality also. It's a very exciting time to be an African filmmaker, and Nollywood is leading the way in African entertainment.
For something that is generally acknowledged as not being so good technically, and then generating so much buzz at the same time, it's magic.
International projects are beginning to come into this country. We're talking about an industry that's been valued at some point at far in excess of 500 trillion naira. I don't know, maybe 500 trillion or 50 trillion or 5 trillion. But that's still a lot of money, even when you convert to dollars. It's still a few hundreds of millions, you know, and nobody sniffs at that. It's come its own distance.
Harry! Harry! Kiki, this is Harry! Kiki! Kiki!
It's in a state of evolution, and I think it's much bigger than what you think. Now, the audience itself is getting smarter, and the consumption of the audience, too, is becoming more refined. And as that is happening, it's changing what is being produced.
We have started what I would call some sort of, if you like, cultural neocolonialism. How we have now, we have been able to first, through film, conquer not just Nigeria, but the rest of Africa. What you will find is that nobody watches, I mean, in Nigeria and in the rest of Africa, people watch Nollywood before watching any American blockbuster. You know, in France, they would watch Hollywood before they watch French films. In Germany, they watch Hollywood before they watch German films, you know, and so on. But we've been able to demonstrate here that with the power of our storytelling, we have been able to conquer and do what none of the others have been able to do.
And of course, more than that, what we've done with Nollywood is that we've been able to give what you could call the moral compass of Africa a global audience.
Origins. I know that question. You're setting a trap there, because we have like a lot of people arguing as to when filmmaking started, blah, blah, blah.
I think a lot of the Nollywood history is disputed because depends on where you want to start it from.
There's always the story of how the first Nollywood film made is Living in Bondage, and how that was made by a retailer of VHS tapes who wanted to move his tape. I mean, this is the stuff of legend. It's true. But you also have to understand that Nigerian cinema dates way back before Nollywood. Nigerian cinema did not start with Nollywood. There was a lot of films being made in Nigeria long ago. And they were great cynists.
Some of us were there when some of those things happened, when Nigeria lived in the celluloid era.
There was what I call a vestigial colonial film industry that we inherited from the white man before they left Nigeria, and after they left, it persisted for a few decades. And that film industry had the Ogundes of this world and the love of this world, Kunle Afolayon's father.
You know, if you go back into history, people like Habad Ogunde, people like Kunle Afolayon's dad and all that, look, those guys were making movies because they just loved making movies.
The projects of the Ogundes, Hubert Ogundes of this world, the projects of Durula Dipo,
late Dr. Hubert Ogunde, my father, Adeyemi Afolayan, also known as Adelove, started, the commercial, or rather moved from traveling theater to traveling cinema.
Aroquintenium, the story of a king, his throne, and his kingdom, threatened with rebellion, treachery, and wickedness. That was happiness in the king's palace.
Èèwọ̀, ọba ò gbọ́dọ̀ pokùnso. Kábíyèsí, ẹ wá jókòó. Kábíyèsí.
It was actually from theater that film came about in the country.
We have gone from theatre to film. It was theatre, television, then film. That was our history. And so for us, a lot of the pioneers came from theatre.
Evidently, you can see right away the similarity. You can see the link between the traditional theatre and cinema in most of the productions, in Nollywood, the Yoruba side of Nollywood, because it was the same group that, they made a transition from the Yoruba traveling theatre to television, to radio, to television, then to film, then to, the current home video. You can see they've kept the same style.
One day, my parents sent me on an errand, and I saw a lorry, music, or dancing, throwing down leaflets. I picked them up to find out when I got home that it was Ogunde concert party.
Where we are now, we just entered the Ogunde's estate. This building is where Daddy lived. This is my father's tomb. He was buried here, right here. Perhaps you want to see, these are the vehicles that were used when he took the films, the movies that he shot, when he was taking them around the country and the West Coast as in Accra, Takoradi, Lome, Cotonou, all those people like to watch Ogunde. When he was on stage, we used to travel all those places, and when the movies came out, we took them all around there. Late in the 70s, the cinema started coming into Nigeria. So Daddy thought, well, he's got lots of plays, he's got many plays that he has staged, so let's put it to the public in the celluloid as well. And he did it, but he did it in 35mm, like they do in Hollywood. He got his crew from the UK. The films were processed in the UK, and he turned out to be the toast of the people. Here you find the props that were used in the movies. It's a big gorilla. Oh. It was a lot better than this when it was used, Ogunde has inspired a lot of people, and I just hope seriously that all of them will give him credit for that, because some people are still in denial, which is commonplace with human beings, but he actually inspired a lot of people.
And they shot in film until the 80s. All those big filmmakers, they shot into the 80s, deep into the 80s.
They made quite a number of great films, and some of these films really traveled film festivals all over the world. And apart from making film, they were also doing their own they had their own distribution framework, you know, where they take these films all around Africa, you know, screening in cinemas, you know, in all over Nigeria, then in Togo, in Abidjan, in Gabon, in Benin Republic, you know, all over. So they weren't just filmmakers, they were running like a studio, and the studio covers filmmaking and distribution.
The heir to the throne is come back at last.
I remember in the late 80s, you know, making film became very difficult because then there wasn't any film lab in Nigeria. So when you shoot on film, you need to go to London to process your film.
It was very expensive filmmaking that relied on foreign funds to happen. And when the funds dried up because of military dictatorship, the film industry died a natural death. And from the ashes of that, I would say, rose a film industry that wasn't as technical as that colonial one, but that was based on a more sustainable platform that involved selling DVDs and going straight to video and gathering your friends and telling a story and putting it on tape and making money out of it. So from that very commercial formula, which started with Living in Bondage in 1992, emerged what we call today Nollywood.
That name Nollywood came. People started shooting on video cameras, and they were putting it on VHS. And it was more like, you know, telenovela, you know, TV drama. But because it's been viewed in homes, you know, people call it film. And film it is.
Kenneth Niboy's Living in Bondage, that was the explosion.
Sparked the interest. It didn't begin Nollywood. It sparked the interest. It made a lot of people know that, look, it is possible to package these films properly and then it will make sales. I mean, you get your monies back after making the film. So Living in Bondage did not begin Nollywood. It only sparked the interest. It got a lot of people interested in making commercial home video production.
And the organ name, the man pretty boy will give you never done I can have organ name. Mary! Okay. Mary!
So Bert Kenneth Niboy now said, look, we need to move a step further from just putting, you know, those days the jackets were very funny. They would just take a picture, make it in plenty copies, and then get the VHS tape and just slip the picture into it. That's what you had as packaging. But when he now did Living in Bondage, he said, look, let me get popular stars. Let me make a film in Igbo language. Popular stars who have made name on TV. So he said, why don't we get these guys, put them into a story, you know, get them to interpret a story, and then we can release as Living in Bondage. So it was that story that came out as Living in Bondage. It sold widely, and then everybody down said, if this man can make a success of it, why don't we get him? That was how it got into place. And that's how we started the journey to what we call the Nigerian home video industry, which was later, because the name Nollywood came only in 2005 or so, which was later dubbed Nollywood. But what we had was a journey that started in the 90s, and that journey is the journey of the Nigerian home video production.
What Living in Bondage did for the industry, and which you cannot take away from the industry, is that someone dared to believe, and he dared to put to action what he believed in, regardless of, you know, regardless of technological limitations, regardless of what the rest of the world was doing. He used what he had, what was available to do to him at the time, to do what he needed to do. And at that time, a lot of people sneered. A lot of people, for them, I'll be honest with you, at that stage, I felt it was in for a dig. Shoot on VHS or on you know, to do, you know, a feature film at that, I was one of those who felt it wasn't for dick. It was either film or nothing.
Then the next thing that happened, personally, I said it's subjective again. Kunle Afolanya came and did the figurine. Yeah. A lot of people who were sitting on their ideas and just hoping that one day Shah would do this, they saw the figurine, including me. And I was like, oh, this guy just did this. And I could relate with a lot of things he did. The cinematography was beautiful by Yinka Davis, yeah. Beautiful. The directing was beautiful and all that. And it looked cinematographically excellent.
There is an old folk tale that when the goddess Araromire wanted to come to the earth, she asked the priest to bring her forth from the back of a cursed tree.
No! He's killing people.
So figurine came at that time when, you know, we have seen it all. I mean, yes, the home video thing is booming, but I always want to do something different, and I set out to do it. I got people of like minds. I was looking for the best, and originally I was actually going to use foreign crew, you know, a foreign DP and all that. But as God will have it, you know, the foreign DP thing did not work, and eventually I had to settle for a Nigerian DP, and I got the other best hand in the other areas, art direction, you know, lighting and all that, sound. And we set out to do something that has never been done before. We did it. It cost us blood and, you know, life and, you know, money and everything. Figurine is not only successful at home, figurine also, I think it did something for Africa cinema, you know, because I've traveled far and wide, and everywhere I go, even in other African countries, people are always saying, that film is not like the Nollywood films that they see. And I said, well, it's made in Nigeria by Nigerians, you know, but for the rest of the world, you know. So I'm glad that I made that film.
Right now, the passion in the industry, I dare to say, is more than what they have in Hollywood.
I consider myself one of the new generation of Nigerian filmmakers who are taking the magic of Nollywood to the rest of the world.
80% of Nollywood filmmakers are under the age of 30. What does that say to you? It says that, you know, the best of the industry is yet to come.
Don't say I didn't warn you, because right now, Nollywood is a gold mine. That's the truth of the matter.
The style of a Nollywood film, Nollywood does drama very well.
We love drama. That you can't take away from us.
It's really dramatic.
We are people who exclaim. We're people who allow our surprise to show, who allow our emotions to show. We don't change color.
If you check out the Indians, they have a pattern, they have a style. You know, they have a way they twist their neck when they talk and all of that. And we have our style, like when we're angry, you know how we're very all over the place and everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My name is Lazarus.
Hi. Hi, my name is Keith.
Nice to meet you, Kiki.
Yeah, so funny. You know why I'm laughing? Because there's my business partner, Rita Dominic. When I tell her, I say, can you act for me in Nollywood? She'll give you one style. I say, just act for me. She'll give you another style. There are certain things that we have. Africans, we are very animated people.
I think the new films that are coming out now don't really have a style. You know, it's just based on what the director's vision is.
You're getting thinner.
We've had so much drama in Nollywood that people are getting sick of it now. I mean, the next Nollywood blockbuster is a drama. Another one is a drama. This and that is a drama. I mean, even me, I can't stand it anymore. Let's begin to see a different type of genre, something that will show our creativity from a different perspective. And which is why when I made my own movie, Hood Rush, it was a musical.
For anyone who ever wanted something bigger. This fall, when you follow your own dream. There's no limit to how far you can go.
So whenever you see like a Nollywood movie, wherever you look at it from, or whichever angle you watch it from, you never mistake it to come from any other black continent.
You could say that there is an identifiable shooting style, that the way pictures are framed in the old Nollywood. But what has happened with new Nollywood is that with the advent of many filmmakers going to film school and collaborating with people like Kedrick Worsley, who's my director of photography, who trained at the National Film and Television School in London, with a lot of experience in cinematography and lighting. Some of the production values of mainstream productions like Hollywood and British film industry are beginning to find its way into Nollywood.
Well, in terms of images, you have to understand that there is almost a pact with the audience, because Nollywood is delivered in the visual language that I think both the filmmaker and the audience need to understand. There are several asides in the narrative of a Nollywood film that is quintessentially Nigerian.
Yeah, I think they are doing well, but they need to do better.
I think Nigerian movie industry has grown from what it used to be, what we used to see as local thing, to the international thing. I think Nigerian Nollywood can now compete with the likes of the foreign movie industry.
I haven't gotten anything that's close to an impressive comment about Nollywood films.
Any day, anytime I'm watching Nollywood films, I'm always glad because they piece off the story in my heart. I like their pictures. Some of them, not all of them, really.
They need to put little improvements. There are some improvements they still need to put in their movies. So we'll be glad if there are some things that are adjusted in Nollywood movies.
Yeah, you just said it. The Nigerian movie industry has moved tremendously from grass to grace. I'm very, very happy I'm born Nigerian because I watch Nigerian movies now. Unlike before, I watch foreign movies like, you know, Jackie Chan, you watch Rambo, but now I watch Desmond Elliott, I watch Omotalade Taye Kinde, I watch Fumi Johnson.
Our audiences are part of Nollywood. Our audiences are Nollywood. They not only consume the films, they want to watch the films.
From mid-2000 and now, the game has changed again because people are beginning to now consider production value as importance. You know, people now, someone like me, there are people who have always been an advocate of it must be well done. And someone like that is, someone in that class is Tunde Kelani.
If you want to define my style, you can see that it is perhaps a combination of the classic American model, the traditional African cinema of that Francophone type, because the influences of the Japanese masters, but you can see the evidence of Yoruba traveling theatre, all of which, you know, I have fused, you know, together and arrive at my own style. It's unique. You know, I don't know if anybody see their work like that.
Where are you going? What do you mean? Please don't do this. I'm not doing anything. I want to know where he's going. They told me you are a hunter. Are you now a border policeman? Yes, if you say so, I am now a border policeman. And I want to know what you're doing on this road. I want to know what is pursuing you from Aku village to this place. Pursuing me? Yes. Nothing. Nothing at all. My name is Lapage. Haven't you heard? I come from a family of wealth and comfort. So nothing in this world can pursue you.
Kí ló wí? Mami, ó ti pẹ́ tá ti jẹran nínú ilé yìí. Mami, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ ṣe ẹran fún mi.
Ó fẹ́ jẹran.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni mà.
Ọmọ ò ṣe fi wọ́mọ. Ọmọ mi ò mórè rárá. Wo bí káṣí máa wò ó. Tẹ́ran bá ń wẹ̀ jẹ lọ sílé bàbá ẹ kó lọ jẹran bẹ̀. Aláìmoore ọmọ.
Our acting style will also be our style. People will get used to it. The more of those things we send onto international platforms, the more people will begin to recognize it as a style and therefore be more willing to accept it. Just the same way that they accepted Indian style, Indian music, Indian storytelling. They will accept it. But like India, we also have to learn to speak the international language, the global, the universal language of film. And I think we're getting there. Who will want to commit such a depravity?
Arrest that man!
October 1, it's a bigger step.
Oh yeah? Don't you touch me!
It's a level that has never been attained before in this country. I'm not talking in terms of budget, but I'm talking in terms of result.
Arrest him. There's no policeman this Akute can arrest Baba. You are hereby suspended.
Mrs. Ransom Kuti.
Ojebi.
I cannot sweep it under the rug. You listen to me! You'll do as you're bloody well told. The outright impudence of the man. He'd be flogged in Kenya. Case closed.
It's a film that will remind the older generations, you know, where they have been and what they have done to this country. And it's a film that will enlighten the younger generations on where Nigeria was coming from and what we hope to expect. And if possibly we need to make amends right now, it's a film that I believe will get us there.
Excuse me.
I think I know the killer.
You walk into a bazaar in somewhere in North Africa, you get into the Middle East somewhere in Dubai, in Qatar, in those places, and you find even Arabs, saying African words to you, Nigerian words to you, in the way that they understand that we say them. It's infectious.
Success ultimately will be that we are able to not just speak to the Nigerian condition, that we are able to speak to the human condition. If Indian cinema and Chinese cinema can take over the world as they have, and I grew up watching Chinese cinema, I grew up watching Indian cinema, there is absolutely no reason for people who are totally not of our cultural experience not to be able to consume our films. And I think that's the first challenge. More than that, we are beginning to direct the stories a little better. We're beginning to actually create brands, styles.
The Nollywood business model is evolving. I think it started with a straight-to-video arrangement where the film is made as quickly as possible, put on a DVD or VCD, as the case may be, as quickly as possible.
There's a home video that ends up in DVDs, and there are cinematic releases. Yeah, there are people who focus on home videos. They don't care about premiering or cinemas. In fact, they will never make a movie that will go to the cinema.
If you want to do a movie, basically you get your actors together, you get little funding, you shoot a film, and then you get a marketer. These marketers are usually in one of the major markets like Alaba. What they do is that they duplicate your movie, of course with your consent, and then they churn it out in DVDs and VCDs. Usually these are low-budget movies that you don't spend so much. Or you can have above-the-line budget movie which you would produce, and then you meet a distributor who would take it to the cinemas.
The cinema is a new culture in Nigeria, and people are just gradually embracing it.
I think the last count was 12 or 13 in Nigeria, and they're very quality multiplexes where Nollywood films are shown alongside Hollywood film.
Nigeria has, a ratio of population to cinema of 1 cinema to 3 million people. It looks as if we are not serious.
But the old Nollywood still exists. In fact, it's doing almost better than the cinema, which is very glamorous, but the business model is still in its infancy.
The challenges of the industry, funding.
Funding.
Financing.
Essentially, funding and distribution.
Wow, the biggest challenging is funding. People struggle to make films. People lose a lot to make films. They sell their personal effects to make films.
If I kept quiet for like 2 seconds now, I'm sure people will hear the sound of the generator. Power.
You can't go on a set without having a backup generator to shoot. Sometimes the noise from the generator gets, it interferes with the sound of the movie.
We don't have a set distribution standard, but that's a problem for everything in Africa.
We don't have things like production grants are strange. It's just recently that we had President Goodluck Jonathan approve some money to be used for film production, for training, and for building of infrastructure.
What we are doing to hurt ourselves in the business, I think, is an over-dependence on government.
We have 774 local governments in Nigeria. If we have a viewing center, a community viewing center in each of the local government area, 200-seater, we are not looking for a mall. We're just looking for a 200-seater viewing center.
A Fox, for instance, if an Al Jazeera, if a Universal is coming into this country, and we're not able to offer them an equivalent of the same system, even if it's a variation that they run back home, they're just going to come into that flux and impose their system on us. And that's what we'll have to conform with, because we don't have anything to argue with.
Today, Nigeria has no co-production treaty with any other country. And that's very important because, you know, when you can have that as well, filmmaker to filmmakers working together from different places with Nigerian filmmakers, you find that there is also an exchange of skill, an exchange of know-how, which I think is very critical. We've started, and I'm hoping that we're able to sustain. The greatness of this industry is the fact that it's run in the energy and on the energy and enthusiasm of young people. 80% of Nollywood filmmakers are under the age of 30. What does that say to you? It says that, you know, the best of the industry is yet to come.
And action.
I consider myself one of the new generation of Nigerian filmmakers who are taking the magic of Nollywood to the rest of the world with what I call quintessential African stories with universal appeal.
Personally, again, it's subjective view, but which I believe will become objective in a couple of years. I think in like 2-3 years, kind of productions you see out of Nigeria, I think this is being documented, so people should refer back to this when this happens. And the only thing that will happen is that you will see the same kind of production, the same sci-fi things, the same CGI things and all that, but with a touch of Africa. I think that's what's going to happen, because right now, the passion in the industry, I dare to say, is more than what they have in Hollywood.
Previously, before we even had cinemas, if you make a movie, it goes straight to DVD. But now you have online, you know, your online, the online aspect, which helps to add some money into your pocket and also gives you international exposure.
Before now, people would make a film and sell it on DVD and shelve it, archive it. But now you do cinema, you do DVD, you do online. And every year, you have a revenue stream. It's provided a lot of impetus for the industry to move on.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Africa International Film Festival 2013.
AFRIF is my passion. AFRIF I love very much. It's a film festival that is focused on the young filmmakers. The festival is a huge networking platform for filmmakers. What you're to expect this year for the festival? Magic, a lot of magic.
I think what Nollywood has been able to do is to represent Africa differently. to represent Africa as a place of aspiration, to represent Africa as a place of inspiration, to say that the story of Africa is much more than wars and poverty and disease.
Nigerian filmmakers have inspired the filmmakers from across Africa, East Africa, North Africa.
Filmmaking in Nigeria is an ongoing conversation. You know, we will continue to talk.
We as filmmakers are supposed to do, I believe is contribute to the vocabulary of vision.
Nollywood will continue to go places.
Oh, I am an eternal optimist.
You can only go up, you know, if every other thing's been equal, if the politicians behave.
There is a need for a renaissance.
For me, there is no competition. I think the sky is enough for, 1 million birds to fly.
Given the nature of the people themselves in Nigeria, the film industry will continue to evolve because we're very enterprising people.
You'd see foreign companies will be coming here to establish their presence in Nigeria.
So it's a huge market to ignore. The expectation is that very soon, sometime in the very, very near future, one of the big studios in America will come to Nigeria and say, pick 1 or 2 people and say, we don't like your films, they're rubbish. But it looks like somebody likes them. So here is a bunch of money, make more of those rubbish films. We'll give you access to the world.
This is Nollywood. It is not Hollywood.
Don't say I didn't warn you, because right now Nollywood is a gold mine. That's the truth of the matter.
We are going to be, I can assure you, in my lifetime, the biggest film industry in the world, definitely.
Keep watching Nollywood!